Take it that you are someone who understands that our country is now led by people who amount to little more than a pack of criminals and cowards. Right now our military is occupied in an unjust war, so they cannot be here to assist us. But you can be certain that there are hundreds of thousands of veterans who swore an oath to defend the Constitution, and therefore defend your rights and liberties. John F. Kennedy was one such person. As a sailor in the finest navy in the world, he, like many of the sailors that came before him and that would follow in his footsteps, was made to commit to memory and recite the Sailor's Creed. I am a United States sailor. I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. I will obey the orders of those appointed over me. I represent the fighting spirit of the Navy and those who have gone before me to defend freedom and democracy around the world. I proudly serve my country's Navy combat team with honor, courage, and commitment. I am committed to excellence and the fair treatment of all. Thomas Jefferson wrote in our American Declaration of Independence, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government." On October 23, 2007, USA Today reported that the terror watch list has grown to over 755,000 people. That means there is at least one terrorist for every 350 people. To put this into perspective, the average person knows at least 200 people by face or name. That means, more than likely, someone you know is on that potential terrorist list. And if you're the kind of person that watches my videos, it's probably you that's on that list. Right now people are afraid of speaking up, afraid of being put on a government watch list, afraid to speak about certain things over the telephone. Our rights have been gutted, our men and women are dying in a war whose real purpose is the genocide of the Arabic people and the domination of first the Middle East and then the entire world by Israel. Our soldiers are committing suicide in droves as they return home and have to face the reality of their participation in an unjust and un-American war. Some estimate that the real total of deaths from Operation Desert Storm and the present Iraq war is in the hundreds of thousands, because of depleted uranium rounds that have a radiation background count of some several billion years. These DU rounds have sickened our soldiers with cancer and pollute the Middle East, causing the birth of deformed Arabic children. Some estimate that over 300,000 homeless American veterans are on the street, and our Iraq war veterans are going to be headed towards the same place.
I did all my best to smile till your singing eyes and fingers drew me out.
They turn our women against us. They pour drugs into the black community so that blacks can serve as a perpetual excuse for the collapse of our society. They are turning our Mexican cousins against us, especially black folks down in California. They engineer race wars to keep us segregated because they know there is power in unity. They enslave us with trifling laws and enormous debt. They play upon our human weaknesses with our desire to play and be distracted, our human desire. Their Hollywood corrupts our thinking. Their television programming numbs the minds of our children. Their education system exists to pump out consumer drones for their perpetual slave machine. Our poor people, and especially our poor minorities, make up the brunt of the dead, men and women of courage who only wanted to serve their country and get some college financing so they could better themselves and the future of their family trees. They are the brunt of the dead of the Iraq war. And no motherfucker will ever convince me that pornography is bad when you have an American veteran return home disfigured and fucked up. You might convince me that porn is bad the day you convince your daughter to marry that soldier over there who has burns on 70% of his body and missing fingers and limbs. but their porn industry and the sexual escapades of their TV programming, Hollywood horseshit, has gotten out of control. It has demoralized our society, gutted the romance and chivalry of our men, devalued our women, and twisted our little girls into clones of disposable harlots. In this country, we have freedom of religion. I care not whether a man is a Buddhist, Christian, pagan, Muslim, or atheist. I see Americans, although it may sometimes fail, be misused, or even incarnate as an impressive force itself, we can all agree that the highest concept that Christianity at least aspires to is a concern and love for your fellow man. It is the Christic principle that our nation was founded upon. It is a principle that is against any kind of racial supremacy or any kind of overgrown elitism. It is a principle which would say that if you truly are special, if you are stronger, more intelligent, or more wealthy than the average man, that it is indeed your duty to help improve the lot of your fellow man, and therefore your country, as our founding fathers did. But we are led by cowards and criminals and people who believe that their privileged life or supposedly special blood grants them the right to deceive and enslave others. Every man may not be able to live like a king. Every man may not be a genius or born into a special pedigree. But in this country, every man, woman, and child is a sovereign. Right now, America may be the bane of the world. We're going around pissing off everybody. But America is also the last bastion of hope against an oppressive technocracy that will use technology to secure a global prison that will become impossible to resist or escape. This is where we make our final stand. Every effort must be made to win peacefully, and we have made great strides toward possibly doing just that. But you must understand that these people are not going to relinquish their power and authority easily. The entire world has demonstrated and marched peacefully against the war in Iraq, and there is absolutely no sign that these people give a fuck what the commoner thinks. They do not give a fuck about you. They do not care about our soldiers, our poor, our veterans, our children. They do not care about you, and they are not going to suddenly start caring because you are waving a protest sign or wearing a t-shirt that says something or sporting a bumper sticker. This has to sink in. They do not give a fuck about you. Their conventional wars are a game, an entertainment to them. They profit from conventional warfare. This is how the Southerners served the North and vice versa. The South was already ending slavery. It was the bankers and the supremacist elitist pigfuckers who wanted the Civil War. It is how Nazism served Zionism, because conventional warfare means very expensive toys, which means corporations get rich and the bankers get richer. Now everybody loves Hitler. How could you not? Especially with that cute little mustache. But the conventional war that he oversaw did what? It killed a lot of Americans. Germans, Russians, whites, blacks, Hispanics, Native American soldiers, Japanese American soldiers, and on and on. Guerrilla warfare must be the operative means of conducting operations against these domestic terrorists. If you are not conducting war cheaply, you are benefiting the bankers. In other words, if you want to take our country back, we need to do this shit on the cheap. We are Americans. They are domestic terrorists. We do not negotiate with terrorists. So why are we tolerating their electronic voting machine bullshit? Why are we tolerating them shitting all over us? Why are we tolerating them getting Americans killed to fight wars for fucking Israel? We are Americans. We do not negotiate with terrorists. Speaking of terrorism, the Sons of Liberty was a seditious secret organization of American rebels who opposed British rule. They flew a flag of 9 stripes, the same flag that flew on the Viking ship Drakkar. The Sons of Liberty would conduct public demonstrations